Hello, everyone. Welcome to Big Gaming. So, this will not be us talking about Marathon. You might expect that, but we're not,
Not yet,
because
maybe. Hopefully not. Well, who knows?
probably not. Probably not in the context you, the audience, are thinking of, because everyone's been banging on the drum of is Marathon successful or not, and I think we've talked about that in the past. It's been about to death. Paul's weighed on it. Many journalists have weighed on it. Many pundits in the games industry have weighed on it. It's been talked about to death at this point, and I don't see there's anything we can say that'll add to that conversation. So we're not going to add to it for the foreseeable future. So, what are we going to talk about this week? We're going to talk about not PlayStation. We're going to talk about Xbox,
Xbox.
which hasn't burned down yet, despite what some people
Yet.
might
Yes.
think.
Yeah. The keyword yet.
Yet. I mean, in fairness, they got the new CEO who's from the AI division, and so far, actually, things look pretty good, which either means one of two things. Either A, she's actually surprisingly confident, or competent, I mean, or B, they're not letting her touch bloody anything. Or as we call it, the Bethesda mindset. They have good licenses. Just don't let them touch any of them.
Don't let them have.
So, what have we got? Well, we actually got an Xbox partner preview thing, which is, from what I can imagine, or what I can see, Xbox's partner studios and the stuff they're bringing into Game Pass and stuff like that. So we got a whole list to talk about. Now, we're not going to cover the whole list, though. It is relatively short, just because for time constraints, but we are going to touch about some of the things we particularly think are interesting. And I'm just going to throw it over to Justin and let you start it off. What do you think?
What I thought on the showcase.
Showcase, and then what games did you really sparked your interest?
Um. Overall, I actually don't mind the format on how they organized every single show, like every single game, and how they presented it. I actually liked how the format on how they presented each thing. They just went one after another and kind of took a moment afterwards, quickly going and saying, "All right, this is the game. This is the item that you just watched." Like they organized it so that if someone was interested in a game, it was really quickly and easily able to tell what the name was, like who made it. Like you get a quick idea on, okay, this is what I'm looking for because I took interest in this game. So there was that. I liked that. Right off the bat, the first two that really caught my attention. Nick's going to be covering the other ones that we both got our attention on, so I'll let him cover those. But the two that got me were Ooh, give me a moment, actually. I need to pull it up. I'm the one pulling it up now. I'm the one pulling it up now.
It was
I
about to happen eventually. It was about
Normally it's Nick who needs to quickly pull up articles. Now I'm the one who needs to pull it up. Okay, so real quick, the two that got me was Alien Deathstorm and Artificial Detective. Both of the style of both of those games are things that call to me on the natural. Dead Space, all that kind of stuff. So I very much took a pease towards both of those right away.
fair
Needless to
enough.
say.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, Alien Deathstorm is really interesting. It definitely looks, as we were talking about before the show, what happens if you basically took Dead Space and Alien Isolation, kind of threw those together.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's going to be more of an aggressive angle to it, though. More of a, not Doom style, but more of like a you can defend yourself against these aliens kind of thing. The very end does seem to almost imply that you're going to be running for these things most of the time, so who knows? We'll see. As for Artificial Detective, that one is really interesting. Real cyberpunk style. That style has definitely taken off, especially since Cyberpunk 2077 and all the stuff that came from that. So that'll be interesting to see where that is. You know, kind of solving where all the I was kind of joking about this in my mind as I was watching the trailer myself. You know, the kind of running theory of, or running question of, where did all the humans go? I don't know. Maybe all the killer robots might have something to do with it. Just a theory. So
Just a thought.
we'll
Just a
see.
thought. Though
Just a thought.
I myself, when it came to Artificial Detective, took interest in it because of the fact that it's got this weird Siva basically type thing going on. I
Yeah,
don't
with
I
the
don't
red.
yeah, I don't know what real way to describe it, but like it was
AI
very
went rogue.
yeah, this weird AI that like obviously kind of nanite type thing going on, and it's just right away took my interest.
Yeah, it does seem to turn the bots hostile, so it makes me wonder. Well, I'm imagining that'll be the central plot line where we learn about. Okay, that's the thing that probably went rogue and caused everyone to die. So we'll see.
Hmm.
As for my opinion of the show in general, I mean, Scott, my brain just went through a ton of people I know for some reason. Justin covered it really well when he said, they kind of were very concise, bang, 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 bang. I will say it often seems this show does seem like a massive plug for Xbox Wire, which is their own kind of news proprietary news site they have. That's kind of a division of Xbox because all of them seem to end with like find out more on Xbox Wire. So it definitely seemed like one giant plug, but I can't exactly shirk them on self promotion. So just an observation, if anything else. As for games that called to me, oof, they kind of run the gambit. I'll actually start with a more innocuous game. Forever Go is actually a really interesting game in my eyes. I looked at it and I'm like, you know what? Of all the high action, high octane games on this list, mine is like one or two. This game is really nice. It's kind of more chill. It's more, the story is pretty much an old man going through his life saying, I remember this, I remember that, and just kind of it's kind of a story about looking back, and I think that's a really interesting concept for a story. So I don't know if I'll play it or not, but it's definitely kind of nice. The music is also really relaxing. I think that studio, I can't remember what they're called, have done other games like this in the past, and they always, if they're the studio I'm thinking of, pretty much nail it. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that one goes. I might play it at some point. I don't play too many kind of calm, surreal games, but it's interesting. Um, else to talk about. You know what? I'm actually just going to go and straight into the dark meat. The Expanse. I've been hearing about this one for a while, mostly because I keep an eye on Owlcat's games. I got the collectors for Rogue Trader, played that really fun game. I've been seeing The Expanse bounce around on the, will be released at some point in the future on GOG for a while. Never really looked too deeply into it, but now that we've actually got an official trailer, my god, it looks absolutely insane. Especially considering it's such a departure from the usual stuff we see Owlcat doing. They also were the guys who made, I believe, Kingmaker, obviously Rogue Trader, and the new one coming out that is not Warhammer Inquisition, but Dark Fate. Dark Fate? Anyways, another Warhammer game of the same type. All of those games have one thing in common, more or less, in that they are turn-based, if memory serves. Versus The Expanse, which looks very different than that. It is basically what happens if you took, I think, Mass Effect and Starfield and smashed them together. Which seems like a really interesting idea, especially considering we haven't had a good, well, not good, any Mass Effect game for quite some time beyond the, remasters. So that kind of high space opera RPG field has been kind of left vacant, and I guess Starfield tried to go into there, but in typical Bethesda fashion, they just kind of made a Bethesda thing in the. I don't know what to call Starfield. Honestly, it's a space game. It's basically, I don't know, Fallout in space, really. So I don't really consider that as a kind of contender for that niche. But like I said, take the action and over the camera style of game that is Mass Effect and looks like romance aspects of it as well as kind of the space exploration style that you get in Starfield. Put those together, that's basically The Expanse. I'm really excited for it. I didn't expect to be, but I am now. So, yeah. I talked way too much about that, so I'm just going to go straight on to the head. Stalker 2, Cost of Hope. I've not played Stalker 2, and I honestly didn't even think this was a DLC at first. I thought this was a whole new Stalker game. It looks really interesting. I really got to get into the Stalker games at some point. They look really interesting. Chernobyl with some heavy supernatural elements, which is kind of nutty. The Eternal Life of Goldman. This is kind of ridiculous.
Yes, this one's a
Fear
little
the Old
funny.
Man with the Stick.
This one's funny.
This game can ominously seem to boil down to fear the old man with the stick. The entire trailer is just berating of an old man, or the parading of an old man, only to have you literally see him pull doom moves as he's literally ripping out alien or creature innards with his cane. So yeah, fear the
Ye-
old man with the stick, as I said. It'll be interesting. Justin before the show kind of compared it to something like Hollow Knight when it first released,
It
and I
it
think
gives the
I
vibes that like you're kind of like it's I don't know. It's hard to describe entirely, but like it gives the vibes that you're gonna be exploring multiple different environments, and like in Hollow Knight, you kind of just have to slowly progress. I don't. It Nick said that it's likely gonna have more of a cohesive story. I do
yeah,
agree
it's
with
definitely gonna
that.
have more of a clear story than Hollow Knight did.
Hmm.
Just by the trailer alone, you can definitely tell that there's a lot more of a obvious plot line here. Also, much more colorful than Hollow Knight, which I'm all for.
Right.
Hollow Knight, as great as that game is, looks pretty drab if you ask me. Which, in fairness, is its style, but
Mhm.
personal preference and all. So I'm probably gonna play that at some point whenever that comes out. Serious Sam the Shadowverse. Oh boy, I thought Serious Sam was dead and gone. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I thought that franchise was dead and
We
buried,
we
but
we thought that story was told and gone. Apparently
but
not.
here we are. Apparently, they're dragging it out to make some kind of hero shooter thing. I'm honestly not too sure when I looked at it. Still not too sure, really, now that I think back on it. Serious Sam has always been kind of a ridiculous game series, so we'll see what comes of that. Stranger Than Heaven is really interesting because it's technically another entry from the Yakuza creators into the Yakuza franchise. I don't know, honestly. I don't think this is in the Yakuza franchise. This is just another game set in the Japanese underworld that has the same feel of the Yakuza games. And it's actually taking place over the course of 5 decades, which is also really interesting. The Yakuza games generally take place within the span of a single time frame, only within the span of a few weeks, months, or even years in some cases. But this is going to take place over the span of like the 20s to the 60s, which is going to be nutty. Are you going to be playing as the same character, just getting progressively more old as time goes on? Once the 60s roll around, are you going to be playing as just this ass-kicking old dude just beating people up? Or will you be playing as multiple characters over the course of the time frames? That'll be interesting to see. So yeah, that's Stranger Than Heaven. Like I said, same guys who made the Yakuza game, so obviously the fighting mechanics are going to be very satisfying. Looks like they're moving back away from the turn-based styles that they had with Like a Dragon and all that stuff, which in fairness, that's fine. Like a Dragon can have its own unique style, but let's be honest, there's nothing satisfying than just taking a sign and going Ming, Ming, Ming to a guy's head. So yeah, very satisfying. Great stress relief. Withering Waves coming to Xbox. Thought it was already on Xbox, but I guess not. Hunter the Reckoning. I honestly thought this was like from the world of darkness for a second, or whatever world that Bloodborne's comes from, Masquerade comes from. But apparently, it's a whole new type of, I think, style of hunting of the supernatural, where you hunt down the supernatural. Not entirely sure if it's a hero thing yet or something like that. The trailer was very cinematic, so obviously we don't have much, if any, gameplay to go on. But that looked interesting. Hunting down vampires and presumably werewolves as they kind of blend in with society and do their usual not good things. That'll be interesting. Where should I? Well, what's the time at? What's the time at? Should I just end it off there? 13 minutes. I'll cover one more. Dispatch coming to. No, actually, I'll rescind that. I will go Ascend to Zero, which is really interesting. Much like in the vein of the Eternal Life of Goldman, it does seem like a top-down, or no, in this case, actually, no. I would say more in the line of Hades, where it seems like a roguelike of some kind. Which is really interesting, I will see. It seems to play with the idea of a time travel mechanic. So stopping bosses midway and just kind of beating on them, for lack of a better term. And just the messing around with time travel. Really interesting idea for roguelike concept. We'll see how well that translates into. I'm not saying it'll translate poorly, but it's definitely a unique take, right? Usually with roguelikes, it's all about bobbing and weaving around, basically a bullet hell in some cases, in the case of Hades. Having the ability to mess with time, we'll see if that makes the game easier or harder. Maybe they might add something to just make it much harder to balance that out. We'll see. And yeah, that's kind of all the games we'll talk about. We've got a few others that I could talk about, a few stragglers here and there, but I'll leave that for you, like a Bluey game and Mosa, and of course the Grave Seasons, which really interesting. But I will leave that for you to look into. Again, all of this will be down in the description, the partner preview showcase if you're looking for it. Like I said, really interesting stuff, and if you're interested in what Xbox is up to, which I would recommend you should be, even if there is some bad PR on Xbox these days, I would recommend you just keep touch with what they're doing, because they always seem to shake up the industry when they do things, as you would expect from one of the big three. And yeah, that's kind of the show, unless you have any closing remarks, Justin.
Nope, I don't have anything else to add on that.
All right, then. That's the show for this week. Have a good one. Have a good day. Have a good night, whatever your time zone is. And we'll see you all next week. Bye bye, everybody.
Have a good one.